This is the one about the 3 E's.
If you're a real estate agent or broker, this show is for you. Onion Juice is both a podcast and a movement designed to wake up and redefine the real estate industry. Here's your host, Neil Mathweg, for another stimulating episode of The Onion Juice. Let's join the movement now.
Welcome, Juicers! It's that time once again for the Onion Juice Podcast. I'm the host, Neil Mathweg, and thank you again for joining me once again. We're on to episode number 5. Here we go. If you haven't already, make sure you head on over to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review. I would greatly appreciate that. And also, don't forget to head to onionjuicepodcast.com and download the two-step listing process. This is the process that I used for many years, and it just changed my business 180, right? Totally turned it around. So, and I packaged this all up and I've given it to you for free. It's a 12-minute video and a cheat sheet to go along with it. So make sure you head over to onionjuicepodcast.com and download that. And also join us on the conversations on Facebook. Just look for Onion Juice Podcast and also look for me on Periscope. And we'd like to continue the conversations after each episode. In today's episode, I want to talk about the 3 E's that I discovered, it was shortly after the recession, kind of coming out of the recession. And if you think of these 3 E's consistently, like I've done since discovering them, you'll find this power in your art that wasn't there before. The 3 E's, let me cut straight to the chase here. The 3 E's are educate, empower, and engage. And the best way that I could start to describe this is to look at Home Depot. Okay, their marketing approach is let's build something together. They engage the consumer with a need, right? And then they educate them by offering them the do-it-yourself seminars. And then I think they also, if you go on their website, they've got like special reports that you can download. They empower everybody with the tools, equipment, and the supplies to get the job done. And so if you can transform from a salesman mindset to practicing these 3 E's that I'm going to share with you today, I think you'll be amazed by the results, because I know I was. And so if you have the heart in everything you do, I mean, even pass up on a sale if it gives you a chance to empower and educate to somebody. And I know that's hard to do, but you'll be amazed on how it comes back tenfold. And I've got some stories that I'm going to share with you today that will kind of set your mind at ease around this, because you don't want to hear somebody say pass up on sales, but when you grasp this concept, you'll see the power in it. So bear with me. So engaging, I'm going to start out with engaging, and it boils down to letting other people know that you care about them. Okay, I think it was Teddy Roosevelt that said, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." Right. So and what are most people interested in? They are interested in themselves, right? So if you share in that interest with them, you've already made a friend. So marketing is all about making friends. Am I right? You following me there? And the best way to build your business is to stop selling, stop pushing your agenda, and start entering into someone else's world. Celebrate their victories. Give credit where credit is due. Paul from the New Testament, he wrote in there, rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. And that is what it's all about. Today I just wanted to kind of put a little disclosure in here. I'm going to talk a lot about Facebook today and a lot about social media, but just know that this carries over to real life. Like, I'm just using social media because everybody can kind of wrap their head around that, and I can use some examples in Facebook in particular that you will grasp. So just know that this isn't all about social media to educate and empower and engage with people on social media. It's real life stuff too. Okay, so not that Facebook isn't real. You follow me, right? So people, get onto Facebook and they post their own stuff, and that's where it starts and that's where it stops with them, right? And it's just not smart. It's far better off. You're far better off to go into Facebook or other social media platforms or real life or wherever, and with the right mindset, instead of pushing your post, Read the post of others. Respond with encouraging and, affirming comments. Just give. It's a way of showing that you care. 95% of your Facebook activity, I believe, should be responding to the post of others. Then when it comes time for you to post, suddenly you have hundreds of friends noticing and commenting on your post, right? So the more you give, the more you're going to get in response. And that's some good power to have, right? And don't post much about real estate. I personally don't. I do post a little bit about real estate, but I do it in a way that will educate and empower somebody. Like I don't post new listings or anything like that unless it's, unless I'm doing like Facebook advertising dark post stuff, but that's a whole nother subject. Okay. This is just your personal page. I don't want to go down this whole road of talking too much about social media. So instead of I share authentic and real life stories, just like if I were with some friends at a barbecue. Right, that's the kind of stuff that I look to do on Facebook. I look to be an artist. I share that human value that we all bring to the world. But the main reason I get more mileage out of my social media and Facebook, Google Plus, Twitter is because I engage with people. I look for people I haven't already engaged with. I comment on their post, and the more I engage with the others, the more they engage with me. So that's. I for engagement wise, I reach out, right? I love my followers. You got to love your followers, right? Comment on their posts, ask them questions, offer them words of encouragement, praise them, give, and don't worry what's going to come back in return. Okay. It isn't about the number. And this is another important, I'm kind of going off on a Facebook tangent here, but just follow me. It's not about the number of friends that's important. It's the level of engagements. And I look for ways to engage. The response I started getting from the post, once I would post things, after engaging with a lot of people and commenting on their posts, my response or my engagements on my post just went through the roof. So social media, this is another way to look at it. If you've got 1,000 friends, it's like going to a cocktail party with 1,000 people in it. And you can either sit in the corner and not comment on anybody's post or not go up and talk to anybody and just sit in the corner and be quiet, or you can go engage with 1,000 people. And so that's the way I look at it. Like I want to get out there and engage with as many people as I can. So, online or offline, you got to connect with people and also engage with emotion. Emotions isn't one of the E's in the 3 E's. Emotion is maybe we can call it engagement's best friend. But without emotion, gaining engagements is hard to do. So if you can post something that is kind of a tearjerker or really makes somebody think, or I love the post where they say, "Me too." Like, you said something so rich and so deep and you were so vulnerable and so authentic that somebody said, "Wow, I struggle with that too. Thank you for posting that. I really needed that." And if you can get yourself to do that, oh man, the engagements it's just crazy that what will happen. So let me explain another story here that kind of goes with the whole emotions thing. There was these 2 marketers. They were out for lunch and they were walking and they saw this homeless guy. And he was sitting there with a sign, and the sign read, "I am blind." And the guy's cup was like hardly had anything in it. There's like hardly any donations. The one guy said to the other guy, said, "I think if I added 4 words to that, I think I could get his cup to fill up." And the other guy's like, "Yeah, sure, right on, whatever. What are you going to add to I am blind that's going to make his cup fill up?" And so the guy grabbed his sign and he wrote, "It is springtime and I am blind." And those 4 words, "it is springtime and," those 4 words, when you add that to his words, it adds a level of emotion. Like you really, you see a man that is blind and he can't see the beauty behind spring. He can't see the birds and the flowers and the green grass, and he can't see the beauty. And when you add emotion to something like that, people will engage. They'll be attached to that. So, learn to tell stories. Be a good storyteller that engages the emotion of their audience. By doing that, it creates this rapport, and that begins to build trust. And trust is so important, is it not? This is one of the reasons for using a blog or social media that, provide you with an opportunity to tell stories. So, learn to tell stories. Be a good storyteller that engages the emotions of their audience. By doing this, you create this rapport with people, and it begins to build trust too. Like, if you can draw emotions, usually it takes you to be authentic, vulnerable. You push pride aside, and when you do that, people can want to connect with you. They can relate with you. And I've said it before too, that people can't relate to your perfection. So if you're too perfect of a person and you only portray perfectionism, and all of your posts and everything you put out there is you're Mr. Perfect, they can't relate with that, and they won't relate with that, and they won't refer you, and they won't come to do business with you because you're all high and mighty, right? So sometimes you just have to be vulnerable. You have to draw emotions, and if you can do that, people will want to engage with you. Simon Sinek wrote this book called Start with Why. One of my all-time favorite books. It's on my list on the website of all of the books that I have read and love. So go check that out if you haven't already. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Just an amazing book. And in this book, he identifies this key between good and the great. And here's what he says: people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. You need to keep a laser sharp focus on your why. So why are you in real estate? Why are you in this business? And if your answer can't be it cannot be something like, to make money or I love real estate. The answer has to be more than that. You have to set yourself apart from the thousands of other realtors out there. So, you need to be doing business for a reason. And that reason could be found in the causes that you pour your life into, or, you just have to really dig deep for your why. If you're interested in hearing more about my why and what I wrote, send me a message on Facebook and I'll send you kind of my own personal mission statement. I just didn't want to put it in here, but I guess I don't have it handy, so otherwise I would say it. But if you want it, just send me a message on Facebook and I'll send it to you. So, your why, you just have to care more than just about money or sales. And so I would love to go on and talk about this all night long, because it's kind of championing a cause and, everything that we talked about in episode 3. So I'm going to save it. And, but this would be a great time when we're talking about our why to talk about the causes that we're championing. So, and if you champion a lot of causes, it will help you with engagements. And a lot of times with the cause that you're championing, like when I championed the cause of my weight loss journey, I did a lot of educating and empowering on the Husky section. So, when you champion a cause, it really helps you form engagement. So you also want to educate, and that's the second E that we're going to talk about is educate, how to educate people. You need to be a giver. Here's the thing. You will spend a lot of your time educating people who may never buy from you or sign a listing contract. And please, 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 please don't let this bother you. Don't live out of scarcity, but instead believe in abundance. Give without taking, right? So just don't let this bother you. So many people say, I don't want to pour out all of my content. I don't want to give away all of my secrets, all of the tricks of the trade. I don't want to educate people. I'll educate my clients when they come to me, but I don't want to educate other people. Like I want to make sure that they sign a listing contract with me first before I'm going to educate them. And I beg you to stop doing that. That's what a salesman does. Don't be a salesman. Have the heart of a teacher. Educate and empower people, and do it without any strings attached. Please, I beg you, please. Okay, so all right, I'm gonna move past that. This takes a little bit of faith, like I said, but don't worry about it. Don't rush into it. Take your time. You're building trust, and this trust is gonna pay off for you. I guarantee it. And remember, things happen very quickly once trust is in place. But trying to sell to someone before establishing trust is like trying to pull teeth from a rabid dog. So take it slow with people. Building trust takes time, patience, and confidence. Instead of rushing people, do the opposite. When a buyer, here's a good example. When a buyer wants to go home and think about it, they saw a house with you, it's your listing, and they really like the house, but they just want to go home and think about it. That you could probably say the right things to get them to sign the paperwork tonight. But I encourage you to do the opposite. I encourage you to let people go home and think about it. And when they do that, they're going to make a more informed decision, and you're not going to be constantly pushing them into the sale. And, I know we have duties to our sellers to be salesmen for our sellers. But I also believe that you're doing a disservice to the buyer and a disservice to your seller by rushing people into contracts. So kind of a bold statement there, and I know I might get some pushback for that, but I really believe that doing the right thing is to let people sleep on it if they want to sleep on it and allow them to make the decision, because I've noticed that too. If I rush somebody into a sale, it's going to backfire later. If they're not totally on board and you're rushing them into making a decision, I just think it's going to backfire. So in this also, I also want to talk about the two-step listing process that I mentioned earlier. That's where this all came from. Going and listening to people and then coming back and educating and empowering them and taking your time with them is really what they appreciate. So be slow. And it's so against everything we've been taught. We've been taught to be salesmen, right? And it so goes against the grain, but it's so true. Just be slow. Educating people requires you to listen. So you need to hear their questions, understand their concerns, right? So just like, again, it's kind of like relationship 101, right? You have to be a good listener in a relationship. Let's not, I hope my wife doesn't listen to this. No, just kidding. But you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So listen, and that's where a good heart of the teacher will a good realtor will do if they're a good listener. And and this whole always be closing, ABC, always be closing, that drives me nuts. I think it should be always be teaching. ABT. That's a little side note there. Come on. What do we always have to be closing? And so, this dawned on me once during the recession, and it happened because I had this buyer that came to me and said, I really want to buy a house right now. It's like 2011, but I'm afraid that the values are going to go down. Is now a good time to buy? And believe me, I needed to sell a house in 2011. I was delivering newspapers in 2011. I was hurting bad. But I told this buyer, I said, no, I wouldn't buy it if I were you. I think values are going to drop another 10 to 15, maybe even 20%. And he was looking to sell in 2 years. Like, he wanted to buy now, and then he's going to possibly be moving in 2 years for a different job. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't do it. I'd stay renting. He's like, wow, I talked to 3 realtors and you're the first one that told me that. And I'm like, yeah, I think it's the truth. It's hard to say because everybody wants to sell you a house, but I think it's the truth. So he listened to me. He didn't buy a house. 2 years later, he called me back and said, is now a good time to buy? I ended up taking a job in Madison, and I'm not moving away anymore. It would now be a good time to buy. And I'm like, yeah, now would be a great time to buy. We're at the bottom. It's a great time to buy. And so I sold him a house and 2 of his friends a house, and it's come back even more. He still is referring me today. So that is that power of when you educate and empower somebody to make a really good informed decision. They will remember you and they will tell their friends about you. So it really comes back tenfold. So the bottom line is to tell people the truth, right? Posts that are transparent and honest. And I've always been open and vulnerable about my failures as well as my successes. And people really like dealing with real people. We already talked about this, but it's just, if the more transparent and vulnerable and authentic you are, the better it is. So the bottom line here is that people love the truth. All right. So write posts that are transparent and honest. And we've talked so much about this, but just be open and vulnerable. Be okay with posting about your failures, as well as your successes, but be okay with talking about your failures, because people like dealing with real people. And this will bring us to the final E, and that is empower. By educating people, you empower them. You give them the power to make good decisions for themselves and for their families. But you can go beyond just conveying information and providing inspiration. The world is filled with negativity, is it not? So you can show people the light, enjoy life, and have fun, right? Be real, be transparent, show emotion, and inspire people to do the same. So let your light shine. It sounds cheesy, but seriously, it can even be as simple as just telling people to have a good day. Or, I end every video or every podcast with, be the reason somebody smiles today. And when I do this, it really lifts people up. And when you lift somebody up, they remember you. So, Zig Ziglar said it, you can have everything you want in life as long as you just help other people get it. So, when you help other people achieve their goals, they will help you achieve yours. It is so stinking true. Let me explain how it works for the engage, just kind of all together, putting it all together. So engaging someone means to start a relationship. It's meant to have a conversation with somebody. It might mean you gain somebody as a new follower. But we need to engage, because without a relationship, there is no marketing and there's no business, and you can't do real estate. So you have to engage with people. The engagement is foundational. So none of this works unless you're engaging with people. But you can use educating and empowering to help you gain engagements. So, if I wrote a really good post that educated somebody, they may read that post and say, who is this Neil Mathweg guy? I want to engage with him. So it can kind of go full circle. Usually how it works is you engage with somebody, and then once you engage with them, you educate and empower them. But like I said, it can work the other way, where you engage and educate and empower first, and then they engage. So that's kind of a circle is kind of how I imagine it if I were to draw it out. So educating is teaching somebody, and empowering moves past educating. So educating is just teaching somebody something, and empowering goes even beyond that. So when we empower somebody, we give that person the resources that allow them to get to a better place. So we also trigger the right emotions to get that to motivate that person to take an action. So we're going beyond educating when we're empowering somebody. And if you do not connect on an emotional level, you cannot empower them. It's the truth. You can educate somebody, but if you really want to empower them, you've got to have emotion into it. So I talked about my Facebook, the Husky section. I did a lot of educating and empowering there. That's where I really discovered the power behind educating and empowering people, is on the Husky section. And that's the Facebook page that I created a few years ago when I documented my weight loss journey. So that's where I was on there constantly, pouring out my heart, pouring out my struggles, my successes, all everything that I was going through. I would put it out there, and I got so many people that were encouraged by it and started, their own journeys. And it was just a really good thing. So maybe go check that out if you haven't already. The Husky section, just look for that on Facebook. Yeah, wow, what a mouthful. So you might ask, does this happen in a particular order? And just know that it doesn't. Like I said, it's sometimes it's engaging first, and then you educate and empower, but it can go the other way around. So that's what I've got for you. Like I said, I could literally talk about this for days. I'm writing a book about it, and I'm just trying to. I was going to do this one in 2 different podcasts. This one's going to go pretty long here. There's just so much to this. but it's yet such a very simple concept. It's the 3 E's. Just look to engage with people, and once you've engaged with them, look to educate and empower them, and have the heart of a teacher, and don't be afraid to turn a sale down if it gives you the opportunity to educate and empower. Every time I've done that, it's come back tenfold. So I encourage you to do that. Stop being a salesman. Start teaching people. Stop saying, I'm always be closing, ABC. Instead say ABT, always be teaching. And just watch what it will do for your business. So thanks again for tuning in. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you head on over to iTunes and give the Onion Juice Podcast a subscription, rate, and review. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope to see everybody on Facebook, where we'll join in the conversation there, and maybe on Periscope as well. Thanks again for joining me. Hope you have a great day. And like always, remember to be the reason somebody smiles today.